Hi everyone, thanks for your interest in our work. I am Wang from ETH Zurich, and today I would like to present our work, Impact and User Perception of Sandwich Attacks in the DeFi Ecosystem, which might be one of the first HCI paper exploring the security challenges in decentralized finance. Traditional finance is all about centralized systems, such as banks and stock exchanges. The financial security highly depends on people's trust in these financial institutions. However, interpersonal trust is not always reliable. There are already many problems have been exposed in centralized finance, such as bankruptcy. So this leads more and more people to look for an alternative option. And the option is DeFi, decentralized finance. So DeFi is an ecosystem built on smart contract blockchain. Any blockchain users can create smart contracts at financial applications executing in the blockchain system, and users can perform market operations by running these financial applications. The innovation of decentralized finance is to move our trust in centralized authorities to blockchain technologies. So more precisely, the asset security in DeFi does not rely on people, but it relies on the execution of the public blockchain protocol. So that sounds perfect, right? However, nothing is perfect. Because DeFi market is fully built on the blockchain, some blockchain features introduce security issues to the ecosystem. First, the execution of market operations in DeFi is not immediate. A market operation is executed only when it is included in a block by miners. For instance, in Ethereum, it takes 15 seconds for generating a block, so there is nothing that happened in the market during the interval. Second, the execution order of a market operation is not determined by when user submits the order or when miner receives order. So in most scenarios, miners order transactions according to the tips paid by the users. The third feature is information transparency. Because blockchain transactions are transmitted through a public P2P network from users to miners, so all market operations are observable for all system participants before their executions. So because of these three features, front-running attacks have been widely applied in DeFi ecosystem by malicious attackers. They can easily find victim transactions in P2P network and submit a transaction with a higher tip before the next block is generated. Then the transaction can front-run the victim transaction. So here I show an example of a front-running attack that I investigated in my project. The user would like to exchange francs with US dollar. So if his transaction executed successfully without any attacks, we assume that he can get $100 back according to the market mechanism and market state. So however, an attacker may observe such a victim transaction and submit a front-running transaction with a higher tip. So his front-running transaction will be executed before the victim transaction and changes the market state. Then the victim trader cannot get as much dollar as he wants. He can only get $80 back and loses $20 because of this attack. So afterwards, attacker conducts a back-running arbitrage transaction to take the revenue. Because of this combination of the front-running and back-running, this kind of attack is also called sandwich attack. Although sandwich attack have received attention in DeFi community, the magnitude of their impact on users is unclear. So therefore, we conduct a quantitative study on the largest DeFi market, Uniswap, from May 2020 to April 2021. We quantify the impact of sandwich attacks over 1 year and find that the financial losses exceed 90,000 Ether, which is equivalent to $3 million US. And this increasing trend of sandwich attacks also indicated a potential gap between user perception and the real-world impact, because it seems that few of users have protected themselves from being attacked. So therefore, we designed a user study to explore how users perceive the existence of sandwich attack. We conduct an interview study with participants from the DeFi community. In total, we recruit 15 DeFi users, and all of them have knowledge of sandwich attack before our interview. Our interview questions cover 3 different aspects: user perception, user attitude, and users' needs for mitigation tools. After the interview, we systematically analyze our data. So our first findings are about users' knowledge of sandwich attacks. We summarize the user knowledge of sandwich attacks from 3 perspectives. First, many users have not been aware of sandwich attacks on themselves. Although there are already blockchain explorer for users to check details of transactions on the blockchain, these tools only list all transactions on their websites, which are not user-friendly. As I showed in earlier, sandwich attacks involve the front-running transaction and the background transaction of other users. Therefore, it is challenging for users to determine whether their transactions have been influenced by others. Second, users may not care about sandwich attack if they do not perceive they lose money using their daily investment. Third, we find users can hardly notice the impact of sandwich attacks on the entire ecosystem. For the second findings, we explore users' attitude to sandwich attack from two perspectives, individual users and DeFi communities. From individual perspectives, we have three main takeaways. First, we find that the users have very opposing view. Some of them thought sandwich attacks are malicious and harmful to average users, and others consider it is a common arbitrary behavior and would like to perform by themselves. Second, our users consider that some features of decentralized exchanges make sandwich attack even serious, which is not ideal for average users. Last, some users think sandwich attacks help them to notice security issues in DeFi market, so in some senses are good because now they care more about their market operations in DeFi. So from a community perspective, we summarize two main takeaways, which is quite natural and positive. First, our interviews consider that many users may not be aware of sandwich attack, so the huge accumulated financial loss would not prevent them to continue using DeFi. On the other hand, some users think sandwich attack motivates the community to develop better products to prevent security challenges, which is also good for the development of the DeFi community. Our last finding about the mitigation needs. We summarize our four design implications for mitigation tools. First, mitigation tools need to get to the root of the problem. This means improving users' awareness. Otherwise, users will not realize the severity of the problem and do not know how to adjust their trading behaviors. Second, as we showed earlier, transactions are not executed immediately in the blockchain. Therefore, users expect mitigation tools can find sandwich attacks in real time and help them to cancel victim transactions. Third, users would like to have an automatic trading tool. Users want a mitigation to help them to decide and perform mitigation strategies automatically. Finally, users want mitigation tools are not limited with a single DeFi market, but can support trade for other markets as well, especially for emerging markets where more attackers are located. So that's all my talk today. Thank you very much for your time and your patience. So we also have some other interesting findings that have not been presented today, and it is always welcome to discuss with our authors later. Thank you.